The Islamic regime in Iran threatening the United States is nothing new. In fact, it's been a hallmark of the regime since its inception in 1979. The regime's entire identity is founded upon a fanatic, genocidal hatred of Israel, the little Satan, and the United States, the great Satan, both of which they routinely call to eradicate, going all the way back to 45 years ago today, when a radicalized mob of student Islamic revolutionaries attacked the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and began the start of the Iranian hostage crisis, taking 53 American diplomats and staff hostage for 444 days. This violation of international law had the full backing and endorsement of Ayatollah Khomeini, who had come to power in part thanks to the appeasement of the U.S. administration at the time, who refused to support the Shah of Iran. Sensing American weakness, the Ayatollah used the hostage crisis for over a year to create a narrative that incites against the West, all while innocent Americans were being held hostage in inhumane conditions. Sadly, it seems the world hasn't learned the lessons of this tragic event, as we are still dealing with the same problems today, whether it be violent student protests, policies of appeasement, or ongoing hostage crises. Since October 7th, Western campuses have become a battleground, with students conducting violent, anti-Semitic protests, waving flags of terror groups, burning American flags, and even hijacking buildings and taking hostages. This is not a coincidence. What we're seeing is straight from the playbook of the Islamist Communist Alliance, which we saw destroy Iran in 1979. In fact, the U.S. government has confirmed some of these recent anti-Israel protests have even been funded by the regime in Iran. Yet instead of administrators or law enforcement taking a zero-tolerance approach, we've seen them make every possible excuse not to shut down this blatant hate speech. On a national scale, the Biden administration has promoted a policy of appeasement with Iran, giving the regime billions for hostages, incentivizing kidnappings, failing to enforce sanctions, allowing the regime an estimated $122 billion in oil revenue since 2021, and freeing up $16 billion in frozen regime assets. And what has that yielded? Executions have skyrocketed in Iran. Iranian oil exports and military expenditures, including terror proxy funding, has more than doubled since the Trump administration. And the regime's nuclear program has advanced at unprecedented levels, with 20% and 60% uranium enrichment at record levels. Finally, for over a year, Hamas, a proxy of the regime in Iran, has been holding American and Israeli citizens hostage, while the Biden administration's policies have enabled the funding of these very same terror proxies. The same way the Islamist revolutionaries held American hostage in brutal, dehumanizing conditions, so too today we see the proxies of the regime doing as they were taught by the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's been 45 years and history is repeating itself because of bad U.S. policy on Iran. The only difference now is that Iran is on the cusp of a nuclear weapon, and the campus riots are starting on U.S. soil. We can't afford not to act. American democratic values are at risk, and they cannot be defended by policies of appeasement. You don't stand up to a bully by giving him billions of dollars and asking him nicely to stop. You stand up to a bully by punching him in the face. The Islamic Republic of Iran will only stop their campaign of terrorism when they're forced to.